Okay, I guess we got a new series in Shonen Jump. I actually wasn't planning to review this. There's three series coming up over the course of this month. There's a new series next week, and then there's one more after that. At least I know of. I know there's at least three. And the third one I want to check out because it looks pretty cool. It looks like some form of like spirit series with like the maker. He's like a swordsman and done by the guy who did Golem Hearts, which I actually liked, but unfortunately got axed. So I'm looking forward to that series coming out and seeing how that's going to go. I'm going to review and talk about that. But I knew relatively nothing about Ayashimon, or however this series, his name is pronounced. The only thing I really knew was I liked the art style. But the first chapter came out. Again, I had no real context on what it was. Because usually, like, when they do bundles, you'd have no idea of, like, what is what kind of genre. I like battle shonens. Battle shonens are cool. I think, they're fun. They're action-packed. Usually they're pretty creative in how, like, the authors do, like, abilities and how, they do their own different types of world building. And then I can understand, like, sports and slice of life and gag stuff. Like, some people like different stuff, but I like what I like. And this one is actually pretty good. I like this. I like the plot. Like, the plot was actually very easy to understand for a first chapter. You have all these yokai, and the head, pretty much boss of the Yakuza, like, yokai groups of Japan, died like 2 years ago, and now it seems that there's a power struggle for all these other upper people trying to take his spot. And that's what this girl, I think her name is Uraha or something, Udara or something. Let me look it up real quick because it's gonna bother me because I'm gonna have to mention her a couple times, and if I don't know her name, I think it's literally like Urara. It's something like that. I wish it was like way easier to. It's probably one of those ones where it's super easy in Japanese, but just because of the language barrier, it's a little bit difficult for me to even properly pronounce. But I'm just looking up this girl's name real quick. I'm gonna find it. It's somewhere in here. Obviously, it's in the first chapter. There's only one chapter out, so there's only one spot that I could possibly figure out where this thing is. But yeah, the main character's pretty cool. I like his character background and the stuff about him, like his motivations but pretty much what put him in the place he's at now, because it's like a weird, understandable delusion, but it's done in a way that definitely fits how he seems to kind of like place in the story, as like you have all these yokai, but he's just a normal human, but the reason he's so strong is because of like his personality and his whole mindset that's kind of got him to where he's at. But the girl, I did find it, yeah, it is literally just Urara, Urara, I guess. But she seems to be one of the people that is like going for this position, like this open vacant seat as like head Yakuza person. And I definitely like her design. I really like her hair and like the kimono she wears and stuff. She has like a little bit of this kind of like mean older girl personality, which I like too. But she's out here like looking for pretty much, I would assume, kind of like a champion. Maybe not like entirely a champion, but pretty much like forming her own cast of people to help her get to her spot, I would assume. And we see some of the yokai as well in this chapter. Just a couple parts after we see the main character just kind of do his thing, kind of just like fight random nobody fodders. Because at the start of the chapter, he's at a gym and he's trying to like get a job, and he's like destroying all of the weight equipment. And then he ends up going to a sumo dojo, and that doesn't work for him either. He ends up going to like a bakery, and that doesn't work. He's pretty much just trying to find a job. Like, this guy just wants to work. He got expelled from school, and he's just trying to kind of like continue life and to keep going, like as pretty much as things are going. It doesn't look like he's actually got like a good setup before this, because it's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of like Saitama from One Punch Man, where he became so powerful that it just became a problem for him. He's his own enemy, because this guy, like, he just got so strong, and like at least at this point at the start of the chapter, he's only really doing human activities, but he's just so physically stronger than any human that it's overwhelming for pretty much everything that he does. He just breaks stuff and just can't control his strength, and he's just wrecking stuff. This guy, I don't know how his name's pronounced. Mario Kaido. I wonder which, like, is Kaido his first name or last name? I think it'd be kind of strange to have a character with the first name of Kaido, because it's just because, like, obviously, like, right now Kaido's like the main villain, or he's the primary villain in One Piece right now. It's nothing that's important. I just thought that would be, this is a little strange to put in there. Nothing that would be hinder anything. It's just something like, you know, the take note of. Maybe like the guy's giving note of like Kaido's strength and like putting it on this character. But he's just no diffing all these like random dudes, these kind of like nobody minions. And even like when this guy goes to punch Uraraj, he just completely walks through him, like a nonchalant look on his face, punches this guy up into a tree. Now, there's the thing about like nameless minion fodder. Like, obviously they're not intelligent, but it's like, how do you see someone get punched into a tree? Not like at a tree, like up in the air into a tree. Like you could imagine cartoon sound effects where it's like, woo, like the guy flying into the air and then landing in the branch. I would just be like, yeah, no, absolutely not. Because this isn't him just like punching the guy down. Like, Ichigo from Bleach, like the parts where he'd like beat up random goons in the beginning of the series. If you saw that guy beat up some dudes, you could understand, like, well, okay, we'll just fight him. You know, maybe we can win with numbers. You see a dude punch another guy, like, 15 feet into the air. Why would you want to fight him? Why would you even want to bother that? It's like, no, that guy's not human. This is get away from him. Obviously, Mario is human, but I'm just going to call him Kaido. Mario or Kaido, because every time I immediately think of Kaido from One Piece or Mario from Super Mario. But, he's just doing his thing. We do find out a little bit of pretty much how he got to this point. Is that for his whole life, he pretty much, like, he wants a job, but what he wants to be is, like, a manga protagonist. And I don't think that the manga is being meta, like he's trying to become a main character of a story. I think he literally means, like, he wants to be, like, a main character of, like, a shonen battle series, but from his perspective, he's not doing it like I'm fourth wall breaking. He's doing it more like how you have I'll just use a series. Like, I don't really know much about Haikyuu, but I know like One Piece exists in Haikyuu, so they're able to bring up stuff like that in their world. There are relatively any of these series where they'll reference a story in them, like, oh, no, I want to be like this hero in this legend. It's like kind of like the same thing, but he's just using it as like a more modern way of putting it out there. And you see, like, he's been trained pretty much his whole life. Like, that's one of the things that, again, reminds me of Saitama. He's trained. He's not here because he has any powers. Granted, he's probably going to get some powers at some point, I would assume, if he's hanging out with all these yokai. And he's, I guess, aligned now under Urara, who's a yokai of some kind. But he's, like, imagining people like Goku and Jotaro and whoever. I know Kinnikuman is, but I don't know anything about that series. But he's like punching rocks, like breaking his fists, and he says he's been doing it for years, like despite all the bruises and damage. He's been doing all these like shonen main character training styles, and then by the time he was 7, he could split these massive boulders. And he's just able to like defeat people all the time, like no problem. And there's actually a really cool part on top of that, because it's really easy to understand the plot. Guy who trains a long time because he wants to be a main character, groups up with the girl who wants to be head of Yakuza, Yokai Yakuza group. Very easy to understand, really, when you think about it. But there's also some deeper stuff in this chapter, too, which I like. Because you see, like, him in his flashback, and he's like, talking about, like, the main, you know, he wants to be, like, a main character who, at the very end, he's fighting the final bad guy. And even though it looks like he's losing, he's able to turn around and win. And you see his dad, and there's like a part where his dad is like this, you know, it looks like this deadbeat in the living room. But then after that, I mean, you could kind of see maybe he's just lazy, but also after that, you see like what looks like he's burning his son with a cigarette. And after training, he ends up beating up his dad, and he's like, this can't be the end. This can't be the final boss. Like, my story can't be over. Because he even likes how he looks like with bandages on. He says, you know, he looks cool like a shonen main character. And then he goes out to try and like fight people. Obviously, he's been beating up all these guys, and it's just not fun for him because it's like it's not a challenge. And again, that's where I was talking about like Saitama, where it's just like what's the point of being that strong if like your actual strength is never really tested? It would be like becoming like a pro, like Hall of Fame athlete, but only playing in like the lowest league possible, where it's just like, cool, you're winning, but it's like, it's boring. You know you're gonna win. You know that none of these people are challenged you, and nobody's ever even gonna get you, you know, riled up for whatever it is you're doing. But while he's fighting this yokai, he's like going up against this guy. He's getting smashed into a car, and he's like, I'm actually having fun. This hurts. Like I'm taking damage. I'm actually enjoying the thrill of the fight. And he picks up a car and he just chucks it at him. And now they're going to be like, they're pretty much going to do a duel. And I like this aspect too, because they're Yakuza. They have this like honor code where they have like this setup for a 1v1 duel. And I think that's going to be really cool to see, because like there's yokai series out there, but I think it's just an added like fun little thing to kind of like tie to the main character and give it a little bit of its own spice. You know, this guy is going to be 1v1 brawling these yokai, and again, right now he doesn't have any powers. Maybe at some point he'll get something, but right now we have no idea whatsoever. We can get a funny part where he's like trying to do like the Kamehameha, and he pretty much just uppercuts the dude. He ends up punching his head off, which was more surprising, I think, to me than anything. Like I assume, killed this guy in the first chapter, and he's like punching these other guys, and like one dude, it looks like his eye pops out, and it looks like he's killing all these Yakuza. And it's like, usually when you have like the main characters in Shonen Battle series, it's not always, but it's like either they, early on, they seem fine with killing, or they don't like killing. But like this dude just seems completely fine with it. He doesn't seem phased at all. He's just like, okay, cool. And then we get a little information on like where the story is gonna go. I guess what else is aiming to go to the #1 red light district in East Shinjuku, or in the east. So, you know, Shinjuku's, I've never heard of this place, Kabukicho. I'm sure that's super big in Japan. Obviously, Tokyo's huge, so I don't know everything around that area, but I mean, I can get estimations. Some memories, obviously. I'm sure there's like lots of small places in Japan that people can remember just from being mentioned in the series. But now they're going to be going there, I would assume, getting this all prepped up. And he's hyped the fact that like everything seems to be settled with duels if they have problems. So that's going to be really fun. I think that the plot is pretty intriguing. The main character starts out pretty fun. I like the female lead. I like the art style. It's got a pretty strong start. I think the series actually, again, has a pretty good setup. Because, again, one thing I mentioned about it is that the chapter 1 plot is very easy to understand. And right now, generally, not always, but especially in Shonen Jump, series have to start out fast to hook the reader in order for them to get past that axing point. That axing point is like the hardest area for like Jump series, like new series. Like they have to get past that in order, obviously, to survive. And a lot of readers in current, like in the current day, are not willing to sit around and wait, 30 plus chapters for like plot to get set up. It's obviously that's way more older shonen. They can take it, like slow it down once they get past that point, but we know that like, you can look at a lot of these series, especially that have survived in Shonen Jump over the last couple of years. They've all had very fast-paced starts and kind of really getting you set up with a lot of action. I think the last series I could think of that had a little bit of a slow start was like My Hero and a little bit of Demon Slayer, just in the way that they had like a little bit of early series training, but nothing too crazy. It was done way more. Deku's was done in like chapter 2 or 3. I think Tanjiro's was pretty early, like in the first volume too, but still done in a way that it wasn't like made to last. It was like short scenes that you could kind of like get through really fast and understand that they train. Whereas like older shonen, you could spend a whole volume, like beginning of series, like training up a character, like the main character, before you even get into like the first big arc stuff. Whereas like current day, that's not gonna fly. You gotta kind of go around it differently. But yeah, like I said, first chapter was good. I like this. I'm gonna keep reviewing it. If it can keep its quality. I didn't expect that I was going to review it. I kind of didn't want to initially, just knowing there was a new series, and I cut back a lot of stuff. But I like it. It's pretty fresh. It's got a very fun main character. It looks like it's going to be pretty brutal too. And I want to see the different yokai. I want to see like the different kinds that are implemented. Because that was one of the things I liked about the, just mentioning other series, was Bone Collection. I like the yokai aspect of it. I've always liked seeing like monsters in different like mythologies and regions, just because like there's a difference between stuff like dragons and gorgons, giants, trolls, like the more kind of mainstream cool mythological creatures, and then you get to the weird ones, and the weird ones are always kind of those folktale creatures, and they're pretty neat. And I definitely want to see more of what this series has to offer from that, because we got obviously some stuff already, and it's gonna be intriguing to see like what this dude pulls out. And there's always that possibility that like with like Japanese yokai and stuff, you could eventually branch out and do like other country versions of like folklore monsters and stuff. Anyway, other than that, comment below. Thumbs up the video, but friend, like button, subscribe button, check out my other videos. But in that, I appreciate you already subscribed. Thank you all for listening. Bye.